Hi, Ange. Just first, a squad update, if you would. Any knocks and bruises from the Aberdeen game?
Aberdeen, no, everyone got through Aberdeen okay. And outside of that, obviously, Nero Buton's available, Tommy Rogic is available, and yeah, that's it for tomorrow.
Any update on Christopher Jullien?
Nah, mate, nothing really.
Is it still expected a period? Is there a time frame on him coming back yet?
Nah, not really. We're just he's working through things, and once he gets close, I'll let you know.
And just in terms of Hearts, your thoughts on a game? I suppose it's second v third. That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, every game's an interesting one. Every game's got its challenges, and from our perspective, it's about continuing our positive form over the last 10 games or so in the league, and particularly at home, we want to make sure that we continue the momentum we've built with our performances, and looking again for a positive result.
Ange, I'm not sure you can have a busier month than you're going to have with 9 games in December. I mean, how does it change your approach to games in terms of preparation, what have you?
Look, you do your planning, and obviously once we knew we were in the cup final, we knew that there'd be another game sort of jammed in there, and so we plan. But after the planning and everything sort of set out, it's really about being dynamic, being alert, and treating it every day as it comes, because you can sort of try and pre-plan things where, in terms of squad rotation, who potentially needs a rest and so forth. But, you get injuries, you get loss of form, you get things you need to change. So what we're trying to do is, and what I've always done, is just go on a day-by-day basis, see who looks good, who feels right for the next game, tackle that task, and then, put a line through it and then move on to the next one. So, we're well structured and organised in terms of our training and our loads, but obviously the games are the ones that you kind of have to approach on an individual basis and just assess how people are going.
To what extent does it curtail your ability to coach the players at length as such?
It does in terms of on-field, absolutely. So you've got to find other ways to coach, and with the video analysis, feedback to players, individual analysis, individual feedback to players, which a lot of the coaching staff will handle on a day-to-day basis, and obviously the team stuff I handle. So, we're trying to get our messages across, because the reality is, time on the turf is limited, has to be limited, because recovery is the key thing for the players, particularly when we have the majority of the starting 11 backing up week on week. It does give you limited time, but it doesn't stop you from sort of getting your points across, and it's something I've always believed in, that if you can't do it out on the training track, then there's still avenues you can use to give the players the feedback they need.
And I know that December will also be used for forward planning for January and things like that. How hopeful or how confident are you that you'll be able to get deals done quite early in January to sort of maximise the settling in period for any players that come in?
Look, we've been working towards it for a while, and all our planning again is about making sure that that we get the deals, the ones we want, done as early as possible to give the players. But as you guys are all aware, we're living in a weird world right now. Things change day to day, and I can sit here and say, yeah, we'll have everything done, and then the world decides a different fate for us all. So we've just got to be, again, agile, dynamic, but we're doing our work. I'm really confident in the progress we're making, and the ideal is, yes, we have our deals done early and players come in early, but at the same time, understanding that there are always little obstacles that can't be foreseen, and we just got to make sure that we do the stuff on our part as well and as efficiently as possible, which I think we are doing, and be ready that if the opportunity is there for us, that we can strike early.
Josip Juranovic was talking to us about his positioning. He's obviously been playing at left back for a lot of this season. He was saying he sees his long-term future at the club as a right back. Is that something you'd agree with?
Well, I'm glad he sees a long-term future. That's the main thing, and I'm pretty sure Josip will allow me to select the team rather than him making the decision. So we'll see how we go.
And just going back to tomorrow night's game, you obviously played Hearts already twice this season, won one, lost one. You know their strengths. Well, what do you think they are? Where do you think they're particularly dangerous?
Look, they're a good team. They've been consistent. They've got an outstanding goalkeeper who's been in great form this year. They're well structured. They work hard as a team. They've got some speed up front. So they're obviously as the table will show and the results will show, they've been one of the more consistent sides in the league, and they have their strengths like all other teams. But we prepare the same way as we would against any other opponent. And for us, it's still about the football we play. We want to be the team that goes out there and dominates the game and creates opportunities and tries to limit the opportunities of the opposition. So the focus is well and truly on us.
I was speaking to their manager, Robbie Nielsen, yesterday, and he said that him and his players viewing it as a chance to leapfrog you into second place. Do you and your players view it as a chance to put more distance between yourself and third place?
I think my players just looking forward to a game at Celtic Park and playing our football and winning, mate. I don't, statement games are at the back end of the year. Let's just keep our pistols in our holsters for a little while and we're just going to play each game as we have so far. And for us, it's not about, I've said a few times, you can get distracted by so many shiny objects everywhere. What we want to do is make sure that when we play our football and the game day's on, we're ready for that challenge. Because if you start thinking that somehow a result tomorrow gets you something shiny and glittery, then you lose focus on what's important. Our form's been good because we're concentrating on and respecting every opponent, and that's what we'll do tomorrow.
And just with tomorrow night in mind as well, is there an added incentive there to make up for that defeat at the start of the season?
No, again, that's going away from the principles of what we're trying to do. Is I think, as I said, if you start chasing, you chase 5 rabbits, you'll catch none. Our focus is one thing, and that is to play our football tomorrow night. Play in our style, put some pressure on the opposition, and hopefully that gets us a result, which is what's worked for us so far. And then once that game's done, we've got another pretty important game coming up straight afterwards. And as mentioned earlier, it's a busy month, and we can't afford to kind of worry about too many things other than playing our football.
Looking at your squad as well, much has been made of the Forrest or Abada selection. Is that less of a dilemma and more of a luxury with regard to selection and also the number of games you have coming up in mind?
No, look, I think, it's like any other position. We want to have players who are able to compete for positions and perform at a certain level. And, with the amount of games we have, it's, especially in that front area, it's important we keep our players fresh and we keep our players, in the right frame of mind. And, with James, as I said, he's missed a lot of football, and there's no chance he's going to be playing every game when you've had such an interrupted start to a season. We've got to make sure that he's available every game, and to do that, we've got to make sure that we understand where his body's at and where he's at. And he recovered well after his first game, and it was good to get him some minutes again on the weekend, and he felt good about that. And having Liel there and Mikey Johnson in those wide areas is going to be important for us.
Hi, Ange. We've obviously seen the performance against Aberdeen Saturday. It was a tough win, and it was hard fought. You spoke about respecting one opponent at a time. Do you expect it to be like that throughout this busy schedule? Do you think it'll be tough to break these teams down?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's, for us, that's always going to, for the most part, going to be the challenge, that, we've got to find ways to break teams down. But at the same time, I don't focus on the end result. 2-1 may look tight, but I thought we were really good on in the last game, because travelling back from Leverkusen, it was a tough trip emotionally, physically for the players, and for me it was about them showing the mental toughness and resilience to bring the same energy levels against a tough opponent, because Aberdeen, I think, are a good side. I thought we did that. I think we limited them to 2 chances. And I think when you do that, sometimes people will look at the scoreline and think it was a tight game, but I felt like we were in control, and that was due to the fact the players had a really strong mindset about it.
We've seen Callum McGregor's celebrations after the goal. It looked like it meant the world to him. Is that just a kind of symbol of how the whole team's feeling at the minute, the sort of confidence flowing through the squad heading into this point in the season?
Yeah, look, I think that's important. I think, we talk a lot about, bringing energy to every game and particularly again at home with our supporters behind us, but even away games. And part of that energy is driven, by the players themselves and how they feel about things. And it's not just about running around, chasing a ball. It's about, the intent and the passion in what you do. And you could see with Cal, that he knew it was an important game. He knew the build-up we'd had to that game, and he knew that it was important that the whole group got rewards for the massive efforts they put through in those 2 games. So, I think that's what he showed. And as I said after the game, he leads in the right way, and he leads in a compelling way that means others will follow.
Ange, I'm absolutely loving watching your Celtic team at the moment. It's just, I think some of the football you guys are playing at the moment is brilliant. One player in particular, you said he's available again for selection, is Tom Rogic. I think Tom's really good in that sort of 10 role. Which strengths do you think Tom brings to your team, and do you have to augment the team slightly to play a different way when he's not available?
Look, I don't have to change, but the reality of it is that with different players sort of coming in out of the team, the profile of the team changes just naturally because of the strengths that those players bring. So, Tommy's a pretty unique player, not just within our group, but I'd say across the league. He's one of those players who can break lines. He can, he sees things and able to find space from tight areas. And so when he plays, that gives you a different dimension, absolutely. So, when somebody else comes in to replace him, the team just changes naturally because of that. What we try and do is not adjust our basic principles of play, and that is to try and be as aggressive as we can, to try and be as proactive as we can in terms of regaining the ball, in terms of where we play our football. We're really keen to be a team that plays on the front foot. All those kind of elements are there, but it's only natural that different players come in, they bring their own strengths to it, and that changes the team to a certain extent. But like I said, our football has been fairly consistent. I think it's evolving. But as I keep stressing, we're only at the beginnings, and there's still a lot more we need to improve on, absolutely. And the beauty of it is that the players know that, and the players want that, which is, for me, is the important bit.
You sort of mentioned there about evolving and improving what you're doing. Obviously, we played Hearts in match day 1 of this season and got a defeat. But having a look back at the squad, without preempting your own squad selection, we could be looking at maybe 5 or 6 different changes just to the starting 11. How far do you feel the squad and what you're trying to implement has come since that first match day? And where do you see this team going, and how much work is there still left to get it to exactly your ideal Celtic team?
Look, I mean, it definitely has evolved from that first game. I mean, it's we literally, Kyogo came to lunch and then was in the squad, so Carl Starr felt similar. We had a rough beginning, and at the same time I kept saying to the players that we still felt like we had to be resilient, not make excuses, and get through it. And even in that first game, it was still pretty tight. We got ourselves back into the game, and we scored a goal which was marginally offside, and then they got one at the end, so we had to we had to swallow that pill and learn from it. But the team has evolved since then, as I knew it would, because we got more of our signings in by the end of the window, and since then we've had steady improvement. Now, again, I don't know what the end point is. So when people say to me, how much progress have you made, how much more to go, I don't know what the end point is. I never put an end point, because if we get past that end point, whatever my end point is within the next 12 months, and where do you go from there? Then I'll think I've sold the player short, and I've sold this football club short. So we're not going to put an end point. Our goal is to try and improve, and I know we can. It's only natural we should, because for a lot of these guys, they're 20, 25 games into their Celtic careers, and for all of them, it's 20 or 25 games into them working with me. So there's no chance we'd be anywhere near where we wanted to be yet. But again, the onus is on me to make sure that the message is consistent, that improvement is always there should we seek it and should we want it. And my role is to make sure that we keep doing that.